Peace and love, family. Thank you again for tuning in to U.S. Political Prisoners and you, Brother Frank, representative of the Northeast Political Prisoner Coalition organization that was founded by Sekou Denga, former political prisoner who, after 33 years, decided that he was not going to forget his comrades, that he wanted to do for them what was done for him in terms of organizing and fighting to bring them home. It is with a heavy heart that I have to announce the following information. So I received this online. I want to share it with the viewers so that we all can put our heads together and have an all-out blitz to give our brother Imam Jamil El-Amin, formerly known as H. Brad Brown, an opportunity to come home and not die in prison. It's always a travesty when a political prisoner dies in prison. It means that we haven't done enough work to bring them home. It means that we haven't woke up enough people about the cause of political prisoners. So that's why today's episode is very important, that I have as many viewers as possible to share with as many people as possible, people in clergy, people in academia world, elected officials, let them know that a serious injustice is about to occur if political prisoner Imam Jamil El-Amin dies in prison. So this is what was presented on social media. It says, with aching hearts, we share that Imam Jamil has an estimated prognosis of only 3 months to live following the gross neglect by the prison system of Imam Jamil's cancerous tumor growth on his face. Imam Jamil dedicated his life in service to the people and gave more love to us than we ever gave back to him. Now, in this critical time, let's show our love to one of the greatest revolutionaries this country has ever known. Imam Jamil has not received any of his mail in the last 25 months. We're calling on everyone to write a handwritten letter to Imam Jamil with the details in the post. Share words of support, gratitude, and how Imam Jamil has impacted you. Let's make sure the Federal Medical Center's P.O. box overflows with letters to Imam Jamil to remind the prison that he is not forgotten. Tag us on all your story with your letter so we can amplify the love and support being given to Imam Jamil. It's hashtag free H. Rap Brown, hashtag Imam Jamil. So that was the news that I received and others received. And it's important that we internalize that and decide, what are the tactics needed to present that. I would just want to go into Imam Jamil El-Amin's life for a second. For those who don't know who he is and might be viewing this podcast for the first time, if so, please subscribe to the channel. Please like, share, and give the information with as many people as possible so that we can continue this dialogue around political prisoners, around the need to bring them home, around the need for us to not forget them and the sacrifices that they have made for us. So it says, who is Jamil Abdullah Al-Amin? I received this book from one of my comrades, and it's very important that we write our own publications, write our own material on our liberation struggle so that we can control that narrative. Who is Jamil Abdullah Al-Amin? H. Rap Brown was the founder and later chairman of the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee. In 1970, he served as the Minister of Justice of the Black Panther Party. A shootout during an attempted robbery of a bar on New York's Upper West Side left him and 2 police officers injured. He did 5 years in New York prisons where he converted to Islam and took the name Jamil Abdullah Al-Amin, preaching Islam. Al-Amin in the 1980s became a pillar of Atlanta's burgeoning Muslim community. After his pilgrimage to Mecca in 1976, he settled in Atlanta, where he soon founded the community mosque. By 1980, Al-Amin had become spiritual leader, imam of over 30 Islamic centers belonging to the Dar ul Islam National Community. Estimates of its total membership have run as high as 10,000. In 2002, an Atlanta jury found former Black Panther member Jamil Abdullah Al-Amin guilty of murder for the March 2000 shooting that killed one Fulton County Sheriff's deputy and wounded another. Jurors found him guilty on all 13 counts he faced, including murder, felony murder, aggravated assault on a police officer, obstructing a law enforcement officer, in the possession of a firearm by a convicted felon. Imam Jamil El-Amin is still maintaining the highest degree of spiritual integrity, personal dignity, and diligence over violation of his human rights and perseverance against multivarious forms of indecent and inhuman treatment. After 6.5 decades of experiencing the worst forms of American hypocrisy, discrimination, including 4.5 decades of persecution by improper prosecution, climaxing in a sensational trial which produced not a shred of evidence to lead to the unjust conviction and illegal sentence of life without parole plus 30 years. Let me read that sentence again. It said, including 4.5 decades of persecution by improper prosecution, climaxing in a sensational trial which produced not a shred of evidence to lead to the unjust conviction, an illegal sentence of life without parole plus 30 years, 35 years, with over 6.5 years of solitary confinement. The Imam's response is, they ain't make me, so they can't break me. In 2014, Al-Amin was diagnosed with multiple melanoma. So that's what he's currently suffering from. And just to get that was just to give you an insight into his life of commitment, his life being diligent in terms of fighting for his people's self-determination. I know that when I read his other book, Die Nigga Die, I was very impressed with his ability to make an assessment of people and their situation. And when I would listen to his speeches, and I would think about, that brother is very passionate about what he's saying. He has a strong love and conviction for the state of affairs of his people. And he's committed to fighting as long as is necessary to get the results that are beneficial to his people. So knowing his history, knowing what he's done for us, we got to ask ourselves, what are we going to do for him? Right? We have multiple talents. We need to share the information with as many people as possible. We need to step up the ante and all our bliss is necessary for us to bring them home and not let them die in prison. Because it's very disturbing to have a political prisoner die in prison. This is one of his books, Revolution by the Book. Prior to me coming on, I was evaluating the book, and I looked at this chapter. The chapter called says, "Everybody can fight, but everybody can't win." It says it is criminal that in the 1990s we still approach struggle on the basis of sloganeering, saying by any means necessary, as if that's a program, or we shall overcome, as if that's a program. Slogans are not programs. We must define the means which will bring about change. This can be found in the example that Allah has brought for us in the Quran and the example of the Prophet. Our revolution must be according to what Almighty God has decreed. That is his position regarding making revolution. And I thought that was a very interesting point, separating slogans from actual programs, right? When we talk about our political prisoners, we say free them all. We say don't let political prisoners die in prison. But what does that mean if there's no organized action around it? We have to write letters. We have to organize programs in our community, such as Curb Fest, such as workshops in our community, where we're bringing the community in to learn about political prisoners, to write to political prisoners, to let them know that they have a responsibility to not let a political prisoner die in prison, that they have to step it up. They have to do what is necessary to make sure that that political prisoner knows that they are connected to the community, that the community has not ignored them, that the community realizes that what the community is going through now is not nothing new. It's something that's been going on for quite some time, and it continues to go on because of people's right to self-determination is being interrupted. It's being sabotaged. In fact, that it's being sabotaged so bad that people are unclear what they have an actual right to. And that's where we come in. Those who profess to be professional revolutionaries, those who profess to love the people. That love has to be expressed concretely. It has to be expressed physically. It has to be expressed in practice, in action, in deeds. And Imam Jamil Al-Amin, that's exactly what he was about. So when I gave you his bio, right? Some of his bio, right? Because it's extensive. And if I went to Wikipedia, they'll have even more details. But I wanted to go to our own publication. This publication says over 900 years in that captivity. It gives bios on a number of political prisoners. And it only felt right to do it that way, especially if we're talking about our right to self-determination. We got to make sure that we can control our own narrative, because if we don't do that, then somebody else is going to tell us who is who to us and how we need to approach them. People will tell us that Imam Jamil Al-Amin is not worth fighting for, that he's been convicted on these charges. But those who convict us are not those who are our liberators. Those who convict us are not our freedom fighters. Those who convict us, in fact, are us, our oppressors. They want to see us continue to remain in the current condition that we are in. Imam Jamil Al-Amin is a captured freedom fighter, is a political prisoner. He is worthy of our attention. He is worthy of our effort to bring him home. He is worthy of us doing as much as we can to make sure that he does not die in prison. Therefore, we got to share that message about him having 3 months to live. And we got to internalize that. And I invite you to contact me with any ideas that you have so that we can share those ideas, and I could bring forth a proposal that the Northeast Political Prisoner Coalition had put forth in terms of action to bring him home, right? When we think about political prisoners who came home off of compassionate release, we think of Mazulu Shakur. He came home off compassionate release. That was a people's victory because he didn't die in prison. And that was an effort done on behalf of people who were serious about bringing him home, people who loved him, people who have compassion for him. Russell Mamoon Schultz, I was a part of that campaign. I participated in a number of meetings. I learned some things, and he was granted compassionate release. And that wasn't because the state had compassion. That was because the state had pressure. You have pressure from elected officials. You have pressure from clergy. You have pressure from people in the academia world. And we got to continue that pressure in this particular case with Imam Jamil Al-Amin. We got to let them know that Imam Jamil Al-Amin is our captured freedom fighter, and he has people in the community that don't want to see him die in prison, that are willing to write as many times and do the necessary work to bring him home. So, it's not going to be easy tasks, but all tasks, that can be accomplished must be taken on. And this is one such task. And that's why this episode is dear to me, right? Because I think about a number of political prisoners that we stand for, and as part of the Northeast Political Prisoner Coalition, Ronald Reed, Fred Muhammad Burton, Joseph Bowen, and others. And I realized that, we have to do our best part in making sure that they don't die in prison. And that means that we got to win others over to this work. And this particular work requires a lot of winning over. It's very urgent. And that's why I'm telling those who are viewing now to please share the message. Please share this particular video and let them know about the message about Imam Jamil having 3 months to live. And it seems like just yesterday we did an episode on him having 10 months to live. It just went just like that. So it's like we don't have no time to waste. We got to do as much as possible. And I think, again, my brother Maliki, from coming on that episode and sharing his experience with Imam Jamil, letting me know that, prior to him coming on, they would light a match and then he would come on because he would light fire to the stage. He was such a gifted speaker, and he really sparked the minds of people in terms of what was going on and what still is going on, right? He said America is as violent as a violent place, and described that as a reality that you had to accept. We had to accept because often when we deal with our reality, we're not always dealing with it as concretely as we should. We're not dealing with the history of our oppressor. We're not dealing with the history of the state. We often think that it's humane, right? Profit over people is not a humane idea. It is an inhumane idea. And that is the idea of a capitalist. So while you're in prison, they are making money off you. While you're suffering and you need medication, they are making money off of you. So when Imam Jamil Al-Amin talked about America being violent, he's talking about this reality. And he's preparing you now. And he's preparing you for tomorrow. And he's preparing you and your family so that you have to make some serious decision on your relationship to the government, your relationship to the world that you live in. Are you going to be complacent, or are you going to be driven to take some organized action? Imam Jamil Alameen let us know that we have to be driven to take some organized action. That regardless of his situation, he is still committed to standing up for his people because he is serious about the love for his people. He is serious about doing some work, about letting his people know that we all have a role to play, that we all have some work to do. So I just want to go back to the feeling that I felt when Ed Poindexter died in prison. I felt very bad. I questioned myself. I asked myself, how much work did I do? Uh, was doing a podcast episode on Ed Poindexter enough? Should I have done more? If I tried to write to him, I didn't get no response. Should I have tried again? You know, this is questions that I ask myself to let you know that, you know, it's not just about me talking and giving my viewers some work if they choose to accept it, if they have the capacity to accept that assignment or that work. But it is also for myself to let myself know that, listen, you know, you have to walk the talk. You have to make sure that you're representing the concept, the idea of fighting for political prisoner, of not letting a political prisoner die in prison. That means getting politically educated, knowing their story, right? So you can tell their story to people in a moment's notice. So you can say it as fast as you can so that you got their attention as long as you need their attention. You know, we live in a world, there's many distractions. So when you're talking about political prisoners, often people just hear the prisoner part. They're not looking at the political part. So they don't make the distinction. And that's when you come in. You got to remind people of the life that people had prior to their being in prison when they had a political life. I mean, they still do have a political life, but while they're in prison, they're organizing. They're raising the consciousness of people. And that's what brings me to think about Ronald Reed. When one of the last letters that I received from him was saying that, you know, he still was fighting his case. And while he was in prison, he was raising the consciousness of those who were in prison with him, making sure that they didn't get stumbled by that. And, you know, when I think about his example, I think about, you know, looking at a podcast with this former drug dealer who mentioned being in prison with Sundiata Acoli. And Sundiata Acoli, political prisoner, member of the Black Panther Party, member of the Black Liberation Army, told him that he needed to worry and focus on when he get out and coming home and not getting caught up with what's going on in prison. For him to mention that and share that with his viewers, let me know that the political prisoner didn't abandon their politics when they were in prison, decided that they were still going to fight for their people's self-determination. They were going to fight to make their people better. Because when you're fighting for people's self-determination, you're fighting to make them better, to create a new person, to allow them to start to think differently, to start questioning their relationship to to the system, right? The system is in play to do what it does for as long as it's going to do it until it's challenged to the point where it's no longer operational. And Imam Jamil Alameen, he never gave up on us, and we shouldn't give up on him. So if you're a part of a religion, an organized religion, a place of faith, you know, make sure you let them know that Imam Jamil Alameen has 3 months to live, and they need your help. His people need your help. You need to follow the instruction that was given on the social media. You can call me at 347-679-3936. Let's talk about more work that we can do. We all can put our minds together and decide that there's some needed action that we could take, that we don't have to accept this as reality, that Imam Jamil can come home. And it's up to us to do it. You know, y'all heard me say it before, and I say it again, that, you know, the state don't free political prisoners, the people do. And I got that from beloved political prisoner, Sundiata Acoli. He advocated that, and it made so much sense. And to this day, it still makes sense. And that's why, you know, we have to continue with these ideas, with these concepts, so that we can keep each other sharp, that we can stand together in unity and solidarity when it comes to our political prisoners, right? It's always solidarity over sympathy, right? Some people would say they feel sorry for Imam Jamil, and I mean still being in prison, right? And possibly dying in prison if we don't do enough work to bring him home, right? But sympathy is not enough. We need solidarity. Solidarity is organized work, commitment to being organized, commitment to taking on a task, making sure that Imam Jamil Al-Amin does not die in prison. You know, we have, as taxpayers, you know, we have influence on these elected officials. You know, as registered voters, we have influence on these elected officials, and we need to remind them about who we are and who put them in their current position. And we need to hold them responsible. We say, listen, I got a concern. My concern is Imam Jamil Al-Amin not coming home. Imam Jamil Al-Amin dying in prison. He got 3 months to live. He should be amongst those who love him. He should be amongst his family. We need your support. Matter of fact, we are telling you what we want done. As registered voters, as taxpaying citizens, we are demanding that you write a letter on his behalf so that he comes home. You're doing that on our behalf, right? On the behalf of the community that loves Imam Jamil Al-Amin. The community has actually benefited off his sacrifices, his commitment. You know how courageous you have to be to say the things that he said? Because he loved his people. You know how courageous you have to be to understand that the consequences of your actions could be death or life in prison? So he was very courageous, and we should be courageous for him, right? Some of us don't want to take a position when it comes to political prisoners because we feel like we're going to draw ourselves attention, and that attention makes us uncomfortable. But you know, at some point, when does it stop? When do we realize that we have to take certain action to change the reality of our situation and actually make the lives of our children better? The political prisoner understands that very clearly. The political prisoner understands that before they became politically conscious, there was somebody fighting for them to make them conscious. And that person, those people were willing to make commitments and sacrifices. And because of them, they were able to benefit. They were able to experience a change in their reality. They was able to become conscious and realize that these social conditions remain in existence because not enough is being done to take them out of existence. And we have to be those ones to accept that responsibility. So if you have any respect for yourself, you have any respect for Imam Jamil Al-Amin, you would share that message about him having 3 months to live. You would be as creative as possible to make people aware about him and his sacrifices. And you were committed to get that done so that he does not die in prison. So I ask those who are viewing this now, please share with as many people as possible. Please share, hit like. Let's get the word out. Let's let people know that Imam Jamil Al-Amin has only 3 months to live. We don't want him to die in prison. We want to do as much as possible. I want to provide my contact information. So if you have any ideas about what we need to do, if you have any contacts with any clergies, that you'll share that message with them. And if you want me to speak to them directly, I will. If you have any contact with any elected officials that have the courage to take a stand on social justice, please, if you're not comfortable with talking to them, give them my information, or you can text me their information and I'll make that call. Please share, please share, please share, please share. Let's get this word out to as many people as possible. You know, for those who are viewing right now, Imam Jamil Al-Amin has 3 months to live. We don't want him to die in prison. We want to bring him home. We want to be able to give him the support, the comfort, the love that he has. Just think about the work that he's done from the time that he was part of SNCC to the time that he organized in the Islamic community. He was taking on that responsibility tirelessly. He wrote books, and those books were designed to raise people's consciousness. It helped raise my consciousness even more. I remember writing to him, and he wrote me back. He appreciated me writing him. He was very brief, very short when he responded, but I felt good. I felt I made it a connection. I felt that I had the responsibility to let people know about what was going on. Remember, one of the last jobs that I had, I was operating a vehicle, and I had to pick up people who had physical challenges, who had serious medical conditions. And I would use that as an opportunity on Sunday, particularly to raise people's consciousness of our political prisoners. And one sister, before I even said H. Rap Brown, I was great. I was talking about the Black Panther Party. I was talking about the history of the Black Panther, the Black Liberation Army. And she said, "Yeah, what happened to that brother H. Rap Brown?" I said, "Oh, he's still in prison. Oh, he's in prison." And she was shocked. So what I mean by that, and why I'm sharing that, is that we can't lose any opportunity to raise people's awareness about our political prisoners, our captured freedom fighters. And just to think about what that meant to that woman, to hear that he was still in prison, how it affected her day, and possibly made her do some possible research, maybe motivated her to write a letter. I don't know. I didn't talk to her again after that, and I don't want to make anything fantasy. I want to deal with reality. Maybe she didn't even think nothing of it. Maybe she threw away the brochure. But the point is, I did my job. My job was to put an idea out there and to see who's going to respond in the manner that I know is beneficial to us as a collective. Sometimes you got to go through 100 people just to get one. But that one person is going to take on the assignment very seriously and very committed. And that one person might win over another person or several others. And that was because you didn't give up. And like Imam Jamil Al-Amin never gave up on us, we can't give up on him. So from this point until the 3 months, we have to continue to fight. We have to continue to put out the message. We have to continue to check our social media to see what's going on, to see what the current status is, who's doing what, when, and why, and what we need to do to support that. How our input, is going to make an impact. So I ask you now to please share with as many people as possible. Again, my number is 347-679-3936. Again, that's 347-679-3936. Contact me about any ideas that you have. Very important that we take the task of freeing our political prisoners very seriously, because we have other people that taking on the task of fighting for our right to self-determination. What's going to happen to them if they're in prison? Will they be forgotten? Will they be ignored? Will they be left to die in prison? That's very discouraging just to think about that. And it'll make somebody question whether they want to be involved in organized political action or not. That's why we have to stand strong when it comes to our political prisoners. We got to let people know that, we are calling on you to take on the task, and we are holding ourselves responsible. We are committed to not forgetting you, to writing you, to organizing events on your behalf and in behalf of others like you who made those sacrifices. So I ask those who are viewing now, please share this with 10 people. Focus seriously on those who have influence in the community, these advocates of social justice who have 501c3 status. Let them know that they can make a change. They can make a difference when it comes to the fate of Imam Jamil Al-Amin, that they can make a call, that they can take the definitive position regarding the turn of affairs. He doesn't have to die in prison. So all those who are viewing now, please share with as many people as possible. I thank you for your time. I know the value of it. I see you next Wednesday. Y'all know the call. Pray them all. Peace and love.